Today we are going to be talking about using the Designer One Mega Hoop with the Embrilliance embroidery software. Again, my name is Karla Edson. I'm not related to the Embrilliance software in any way. I just fell totally in love with it when I found out how easy it was to use and to be able to put my Designer One back to its full use instead of just being a sewing machine and being able to embroider again. So now that we've done the basic essentials of in a previous video of how to use Embrilliance for the Designer One, we're going to go one step further and we're going to use the Mega Hoop, because the Mega Hoop can be really intimidating with it being a three-step, three-position hoop. Okay. When the lady at the store explained to me, oh, this is just going to be so difficult to do this with the Mega Hoop, you really should buy a new one of the machines, which of course are anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000, so that I could use the gigantic hoops. And they're just one-step process. That's great and wonderful. If my machine didn't work perfectly and I was ready to throw it out, that might be an idea. But till then, no. So I'm going to show you how simple this really and truly is. What we're going to do is fire up our fabulous Embrilliance Essentials software. And here we are to the screen for a new design. And we're going to make it a little bit tighter because we're going to go up here to our preferences icon. And we're going to change from the 100 by 100 millimeter hoop to the Mega Hoop. Now I set up the Mega Hoop, and that's just what I named it, but I set it up on my own earlier by clicking on New, and then it asked me what size I wanted the hoop to be, so I put in the 150 width by 360 millimeters, and then I clicked Save or Apply. And then it asked me what I wanted to name that hoop. So I put the Mega Hoop name. My 150 by 150, I just named it Large Hoop. Simple, whatever works for you, whatever's simple and easy for you to remember. So choosing the Mega Hoop and click Apply and OK. And you can see the hoop goes a little bit out of the boundaries here, so we're going to back it off just a little bit more. And it makes it kind of weird looking to deal with, but I'll show you how to deal with that situation in just a few minutes. So we're going to go out and we're going to click Merge Stitch File icon. Remember, that's my cheater's way of finding my designs really easily, because I can't remember that they're called P purple square dot yada yada yada. Too old for that nonsense. I need pictures. So I click on Embroidery Designs. And I'm actually making this for a friend of mine who is a horse lover. I'm going to click on the little horse right here and highlight it, and then click Import. And it plants it right in the middle of the screen. I don't want it in the middle. I want it down here at the bottom. And I'm not sure how big I want it just yet. We'll rearrange the size here shortly. I'm going to go back up to Merge Stitch File, back to Embroidery Designs. I'm going to scroll down again. I'm going to highlight that and import it. And it lands right in the middle of my horse. So we're going to click and hold, and we're going to scooch it up. And see down here in the corner, the area that I'm working with, the design is outside of the parameters. So we're just going to reduce it. Now over here you can see it's 100% by 100% width and height. You can go down to 50% or up to 150% with Embrilliance. So you're not stuck with just one size. So we're going to make this a little bit smaller. Now just remember that you may have to, adjust something else as far as stitch length. I don't know how your machine works whenever you're decreasing or increasing sizes. Let's see if that fits yet. Nope, it says it's still out. So let's do this. Let's elongate it a little bit and then push it And then we're going to move it out some more. And I don't know about you, but I think that looks pretty darn cute. I think I might just bring this down just a tad more, just like that. Okay? Now, one of the cool features on here is that when you're combining designs like this, sometimes they overlap, and they overlap on purpose. Okay, let's say like maybe I really wanted to tap on the horse again and move him, and for some reason I wanted him to be like that. Okay, and there are stitches that overlap one another, so you're going to have this heavy bulk that you don't want. So you would go up here to the little scissors right here, and you would click on that, and it would remove hidden stitches. Now I'm not going to do it here because, well, I guess I can actually. I would do it like that, and you would see that it would actually reduce the number of stitches. Okay, now I don't really want my little horse to stay there, so I'm going to click undo, and I want my stitches back, and I'm going to move my little horse back to where I want him, right there. Okay, and then remember the fantastic little step that Embrilliance gives us to put in the base stitch. Oops, wait, let me go back. Forgot to do one thing first. I have to combine the two separate designs. So go over here and combine objects. So now you see my outline is all the way around the entire picture. And then add my base stitch. Okay, we go back to uncombine because I want to be able to move my base stitch. And I don't want the whole thing to move, the whole design. Okay, so I made it a little taller and a little narrower. Okay, so that base stitch is going to be really pretty tight. We're going to move it over just a little bit too, toward the left. Now we're going to recombine our stitches over here. Select all. So now it's all one big thing. Okay? Now another thing that I like to do, because there are multiple colors here, and I really don't want to have to change the thread 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 27, 30, 80, 492 times. Okay, only 22. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to step number 3 on the drop-down menu under Utility and click Color Sort. See where it says the design page has been reduced by 3 color changes? Click Save It and save as Saddle Up, and it's a Husk file because that's the properties I set up in the original setup of the software. And now, instead of having to go black, green, black, purple, pink, pink, black, black, I only have to change, the black is changed twice because that's what they have for the basting stitch, but honestly, what I usually do is start with this second color with the green and use for my basting stitch because it's going to come out anyway, and that's one less thread change that I have to do. So now instead of 22 different design or different color changes, there's still 22 colors, I have 3 fewer color changes that I have to do, saving time and irritation, quite frankly. Okay, so this is all ready to go. We're going to go to File, drop down 5 spots to Save As, Stitch and Working, and we're going to change it to Saddle Up. And you see that name was already saved in there, but it wasn't saved as a working file, which is what we just did, and a stitch file. Click Save. Do we want to replace it? Yes, we do. Okay. And then, remember how I closed this down last time? Because this does have a lot of color changes in it, I'm actually going to leave it up here. So when I'm sewing it out, if I need to see something a little closer up, I'll go over here to my scroll bar and I'll just enlarge it. So if I see that the cursor is right here, for example, I know I want to be on the orange color, or I want to be on the brown if the cursor is over here. And then I just take it back down to the regular size. And then let's say like I and I need it to be this big, I come to my scroll bar on the right hand side and I can scroll up and down and see my design. But this gives me a lot of flexibility, this navigation bar here on the far right, and then the actual scroll bar on the far right. Okay, so now that we've saved it, we want to actually save it on the floppy disk. So we're going to go to Utility. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines down to Designer 1 Disk Utility and click on it. We have the A drive. I saved to a diskette because mine is old enough it doesn't have the USB stick. I want to put it on, we'll use menu 3 this time just for fun. Okay, going to highlight that, and then we're going to click on Get Designs. And this should look familiar. This is my cheater spot. Click on Embroidery Design. And I've named it Saddle Up, and since these come up in alphabetical order, I know it's going to be way down toward the bottom. Okay, there we go. Feeling down, Saddle Up. Click on it once to highlight it. Click on Import. And it shows up saddleup.hes in the menu 3 file. And we are going to pop in a floppy disk or your USB stick, whichever you have, and click Write. You can see it's writing to the disk. Okay, so we have our design saved on our disk. We're going to pop it in the side of our Designer 1. Of course, we have a new embroidery needle on. We have everything set up the way we need it set up. Push the embroidery icon. And menu 3 was where we stored our design. Choose our design. Okay. What the arm just did was it moved to where it's going to start stitching out in position 2. This has 47,000 stitches. It's going to take a little while, so we're going to just highlight the important parts. And this is one of them. You have position 1, 2, and 3. What that equates to is when your hoop gets put in the machine, okay, there are 3 different tabs on the side of the connecting rod. Position 1, P1, P2, P3, position 2, position 3. And what the machine is telling us is that we want to start in position 2. I've already hooped up my fabric. Okay, now we're going to insert the hoop. I like to put the high lift, push the high lift on my foot so that I know it's going to clear the hoop. Go ahead and slide it in. It'll click on position 1 and stop. Just push your gray button. And you must have the gray button and the machine calibrated for the mega hoop. If you still have the purple button and you get a mega hoop, you'll have to take it into a designer or into a Viking authorized dealer and have them install this, upgrade the parts, and recalibrate the machine for it. Okay, so we have it locked into position 2. Just gently tug. You know you don't want to tug it really hard. And the first color is black for the basting stitch. Like I said, I like to go ahead and use whatever the first color of the design is, just so that it saves me one step. So we're going to thread up. I love this machine. I love all the things that Viking thought of. It's fun to be in love with my machine again and not be frustrated with the fact that I can't fully utilize everything. Okay, so it's going to do the basting stitch, and this is a perfect way to show you how it moves, or has you move from each position, from one position to the next, and it gives you instructions and beeps at you so you have no doubt when you're supposed to do it. So I like to slow mine down for the first couple colors just to make sure that everything's stabilized in there properly, and then I'll speed it up a little bit later, especially with 47,000 stitches. So push start. And focus on this if you would. My machine beeped at me and wanted me to move from position 2, and it says set mega hoop in position 1. So I'm going to move from position 2. I'm going to pull the hoop back to position 1. Make sure it's locked in there good and tight. Get my thread out of the way and press OK. And then press start again. And it's going to start making the basting stitch. Again, I really like that feature in this software because it stabilizes the fabric and the stabilizer together to give me one more step of security, because nobody likes having to redo a 47,000 stitch design. And it also tells me what my work area is going to be. So we'll press start again. Set mega hoop to position 3. Push my gray button. Move the hoop carefully into position 3 so it clicks into place. And press the start button again. Oh, press OK, sorry. See, it'll even tell you when you're goofing up. It wants me to move it back to position 1. And I'll click it into place in position 1. There we go. Helps when I put it where it's supposed to go. And press OK. And start. Okay, so now it's saying, hey, guess what? It's time to start stitching. I like to cheat and see where this is the first stitch of 305 of the light green color. Actually, I like to go ahead and push the plus sign a couple of times until it moves into the position where it's actually going to start stitching. One, because now it's told me, hey, I need you to move me back to position 3. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. By the way, make sure with this hoop being so large that you have enough room to clear the hoop in any position. Another advantage to the basting stitch. First time I did it, the hoop went so far that it hit my wall and of course threw off the design area. With the basting stitch it was great. Just took a stitch picker, pulled it out, took the design out, started over. Didn't mess up anything on my design. I did the base stitch again. It landed where it was supposed to and we were good to go. Okay, so see this great big tail of thread here being somewhat of a tightwad. You can thank my Jewish DNA for that. I really hate to waste thread. So that's one reason why I go ahead and move it into its starting position for the actual stitching of the design as well, which is actually stitch number 6. So I don't waste the thread all the way from here to here. Hold on to my little tail and push start. It'll go a few stitches. And I will cut out the tail. Push OK. Push start. And as you can see, it's stitching the outline of the little horse. And you can see the highlighted area. All of that is position 3. So what the machine's going to do is it's going to stitch out everything that's in position 3 before it tells me to move to where it's going to stitch out in position 1. Or 2 or whatever. So when you look at the design on your computer and you say, well, you know, I did the color sort thing, yes we did, but it color sorts for position 1, position 2, and position 3. So where it's having me repeat colors, that means I'm going to be in a different position in the mega hoop. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew out all of position 1, and then when we get to where it starts to move to position 3, I'm sorry. And then when it gets to where it's getting ready to tell me to move to position 1 to sew out up there, we'll come back. Okay, as this gets close to finishing up, and it's going to have me change my colors one more time, and then it will get to the last stitch and move to position 3. Or position 1. So we'll be back to that in just a few moments. So it's finished showing out the gray, and now it wants me to switch over to the dark blue, which means that it's also going to switch to position 1. So I'm going to hold my little thread tail here, and you know how I like to cheat and go to where it's really going to start sewing. So I press that, and up pops our message to slide the mega hoop to position number 1. So I will carefully slide it, press down on my gray button over here, and just slide position 2 and position 1 where it clicks in. Press OK and start stitching in position 1. Now it's completely finished with position 3, so I don't have to go back there again for any reason. So there's just the one jump if you don't include my basting stitch. And off we go. And we'll be back shortly. So our favorite message of all is when it says embroidery finished. Never really thought 47,370 stitches would take 2.5 hours to stitch out at full speed, but hey, it's a cold Friday night. What else do we have to do? So next step is to unhoop. Now I am going to actually take this out of the hoop and use my basting line to square off my edges, because this is going to be a wall hanging for someone. So I'll do that next, and then we'll come back. I won't bore you with that. I will tell you the basting stitch is a lot of fun to take out. You just flip it over to the other side and pick out these stitches right here, and then this all comes out as one long stitch. But I'm going to do that after I measure off my sides. So we will be back in just a few minutes. All right, there we are. Completely easy, couple of steps, but the machine makes it super easy and the Embrilliance software makes it super easy. And see how adorable that came out. So pull that designer one out of the closet or wherever it is that you've shoved it back into because of the software not being supported. Go buy yourself some Embrilliance essentials. It's like $150 on Embrilliance.com, and start having some fun again. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. Going over these steps here. So this is the easiest software. It is so inexpensive compared to the Viking software. Would really encourage you to get it and enjoy your machine again.